prophecy update. We thank God for guiding us for 6 days, and we thank Him for allowing us to meet today. We apologize for the slight delay, and we will just dive into our study, the global food crisis. So before we start, we ask that may we have a word of prayer. Amen. So we thank you. We hope that we are audible enough. We hope that we are audible enough. I believe we can be able to speak and be heard from the other side. We welcome those who are joining us from YouTube channel, Eden Outpost. We welcome you from abroad. See my friends from America, from Tanzania, all over the world. We welcome you to today's study. So may God keep us and may God help us as we do our study. So as see on the screen right away, we're going to study about the global food crisis. Now, when you go to the Bible and we look at the signs of his coming, Jesus was explaining in Matthew 24. Let's go there to Matthew 24. Christ explained something that we need to build up on today's study. We realize that we are living on the edge of the world's history. Let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, as the world is continue to ending, I believe there is something that Christians we need to observe. Let's observe Matthew chapter 24. You can read for us. Matthew 24. You can read for us verse 3. Mhm. Mhm. So Christ, when the disciples came to him, they were saying they need the signs of what? The signs of the time. But these signs were not for America only. They were the signs of the end of the world. Yes. So when we are seeing today that a sign that is hitting the whole world, do we know Christ is far from coming or Christ is near to his coming? Yes, he's near, because the signs that were being shown are not for one country. They're not for Jamaica. They're not for Kenya. They're not for Tanzania. They're not for South Africa, but they are signs that are supposed to be for the whole coming. And that's why when you read Matthew 24, we are being told that this generation shall not do us. So when Christ was talking about, we don't have time to show you the actual generation with history, but now we can tell you for sure with the signs that we are seeing, that when Christ said that when we see the worldwide signs, we know that this is the generation that Christ is speaking that will not pass. Now, when you go to verse 7, what does verse 7 say? Uh-huh. Mhm. So we are seeing that Christ was explaining about deception and many of us being deceived. You know, there are many of us being deceived. But those people are being deceived. There are people who know the truth. You know, I've seen people who know present truth just disapproving that Christ is not coming, not just by saying, but their actions, by refusing to accept the truth. They are telling Christ, you are not coming. And let me tell you, the world is seeing that Christ is coming. And let me tell you, it is not Jesus who also or saw only the signs of coming. Even the prophets themselves, they indicated when you see these things, you know that Christ is. This happened to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 5, to see that not only Jesus, but also Ezekiel actually telling people that Christ was reading the book of God, that Christ is about Ezekiel There are three things you realize that are spoken of in Matthew 24, the Bible, they go found in the house. Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 5. You can start from verse 5. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yes. Yeah, you can stop there. So we are being told that Jerusalem has refused. So the end of the world is because of Jerusalem. You look at Christ's time, Jerusalem, the end of the world was because of who? Because of the disciples. They are the ones who Christ was talking to. The audience was Christians, and actually they were near Jerusalem. Now here Ezekiel is talking about Jerusalem. Jerusalem has changed its judgments. Jerusalem has refused to obey his laws. Now, what will happen? You read verse 12. What will happen? Because Jerusalem has changed. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Now, question, if I ask you, who, when you look at what Christ was saying, there are three things that Christ was saying that are happening synonymously. Number one, oh, I hope we are know we are clear. Uh, I'm saying the three things that Christ was talking about when we are looking at Matthew 24, and we are looking at we are looking at not only Matthew 24. We are not looking only on Matthew 24. We are looking at Ezekiel chapter what? Now, we are noting that there's something that is being spoken here. And we realize that there are three things that are happening because Jerusalem has changed their judgments. What are they? One, and two, and three. Let's rush to Ezekiel 5, 7. You see, yeah. Or the person who's reading the scripture, maybe. Mhm. Ezekiel, let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel 7, you can read from verse 2, verse 3. Uh-huh. 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 Now, verse 15, what are we that has come on Jerusalem? Uh-huh. Yes, yes, we are saying that the person who's in the field, if you read your Bible, I'll just advocate if you're not hearing the word, read your Bible. That the person in Ezekiel chapter 5, Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 3 and verse 15, we're being told that hunger will come. And there are three things: hunger, pestilence, and the sword. And actually, they follow in this order: pestilence, which leads to a hunger crisis, which will lead to sword, which is persecution. And wars, by the way, there's a sword, war, persecution, war, persecution. war and persecution goes synonymous. The sword in the Bible is depicted by that. So my brothers and sisters, we are being told all over the Bible that these three things show us that when you see these things, three things happen worldwide, now the end is come. Let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, if you see even in the Bible, we don't have time. Go read the story of Bible of Babylon. When they wanted to enter Babylon, what did they do? They dried what? The waters. And what happened? There was hunger. And after hunger, what happened? The sword followed, isn't it? And people were done what? Persecuted. The people of God were carried. So my brothers and sisters, what I can tell you is this, that hunger and war has been one of the last signs of a fall of a kingdom. I repeat, pestilence may not appear in most of the times, but hunger and war go hand in hand. Whenever there is war, there is hunger. That has been there. You remember in the Bible, those leprous people during the fight, they came and ate because the people left their food and went to war. You remember in the Bible? Yes. So in the Bible, all over, that has been happening. Now, my brothers and sisters, the question is it happening today? That's the big question. Now, we're going to see what to do and how to do. Now, let's go to our screen. I hope all of us are seeing. This is what we got. We are reading. Maybe you can be able to read for us. It is saying what? The 5? What is this according to the Bible? Yes, you see the first one being Africa, Central, what? Followed by Haiti, and then yes, you see. So my brothers and sisters, I can tell you this, this is a worldwide sign. Let's go to another proof so that we can be able to see what is happening. Now, this is Zambia. Meal is maize. They call meal. You can read.
Price cannot reduce further than they currently are because the cost of production Minister of Agriculture and Secretary here, Booz is saying, despite recording a bumper harvest in the country, and the cost at which maize at this millers is high. A 25 kilograms bag of breakfast became 145 the same commodity is selling about in market.
Yes, from Zambia, but we can be able to interpret $140. How much roughly is this? How much roughly is this? Roughly like how much? Maybe let's say around almost 500 shillings to 700, isn't it? Huh? So my brothers and sisters, we are seeing a crisis. We're seeing a big crisis in Zambia. Now we can continue. Mm.
Is telling us that things are not getting better, but instead of getting better, things are getting worse.
Yeah. So what she was trying to explain for those who are saying that this is
and dependent districts
Where
where
what?
flood washed away most as a result of a dry spell. So you are seeing that people are eating. This is a wild fruit that is in Zambia.
On the right.
Yes, they usually sell it in people. In fact, they don't sell it. You can just go to the forest and just eat. These are wild fruit. So we are seeing that people have resorted to do what? To be collecting these wild fruits. This is what they're eating because of what? Because of hunger that is looming in this district.
Yes, yes. And now for those my Africans, Zambian friends who believe that Advent is the office was so bad. Ellen White says that there's nobody who can solve problems by the current. So is Jesus Christ. And if you vote who, and if you believe in voting, I can tell you for sure that no one can be able to solve this problem unless we go to the plan of God. This is the plan of God. God wants us to go to his economy. We can go. So what do you see? What we see, there are empty shelves in the supermarket. They're starting. These are African countries. We're not talking of US. My brother in the US, toothpaste was going for how much? For what? Imagine that is in the United States of America. Now, let's continue. We are being told in last day events, page 12. It reads. Mhm. Mhm. Mark the word nations, not nation, nations. Trouble that will not what? Cease. You know, other people are saying, time of peace, time of peace. They're saying time of peace. So people are saying time of peace now. No, there's a brother. No, you preachers, sometimes you preach so much, you are making Jesus to come faster. We need to get more money. It's Adventist speaking, my brothers and sisters. We need to know that trouble will not cease. We've not yet seen anything. I'm not trying to scare, but I'm trying to say that these are the things that will make us to raise our head high. Remember, Christ told them, when you see these things, do what? Lift up your heads. Lift up your heads for families. Lift up your heads for children. Lift up your heads because that is where our salvation comes from. Knowing prophecy without change, revival and reformation will never save us. We're being told. Now, let's see the genesis of this. We are seeing Africa. We could have ended in Africa, but we wanted to show you this. Then we'll go back to Africa. Another crisis that has brought this crisis. But you know, Ellen White was shown that this was going to happen before even it has come to pass. I'd like us to read in India, China, and where? Russia, and cities of where? America. Thousands of men and women are dying of what? So Ellen White talked about Russia, hunger, and he's talking about in India, China, Russia. Now question, which is the country that is being accused as brought starvation? Russia. And is China and India in the picture? Who are they supporting? Or on the other side, who's beating them? Are you saying Sister White was a prophet? Now let's read. What is the root cause? And we're going to show you thousands of men are dying, women dying of starvation. Why? It is not the war. It is not what? It is the people behind the war. Let's see them. Who are they? The who? Mm-hmm. 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 We are going next week to present the genesis of the war. And we're going to see all these wars, the cause is the same. And let me tell you, the married men are behind this. They're behind this. They cannot leave their fingers outside this. So then, then we are being told after that what will happen? There will be a what? Now, so this means starvation to poorer who? And will result to what? Was this the first civil war or the second civil war? The second. The first civil war was between 1860 to 1865. cry, isn't it?
Yes.
And this, when you see down here, this was written in 1899. So we can't say the Ellen White after this. Which message was Ellen White given so that people can be saved because the first civil war was inflicted? And before the country leaving, what happened in 1888? Hmm? Yes. So when people are saying Sunday law is almost past and a war has just happened, and Ellen White warned of hunger, it means there was a crisis, isn't it?
Yes.
And after that, civil war. No, the first World War. And do you know what? You know that's the same pattern. What happened in 1919? What happened in 1919? Spanish flu. And then after the Spanish flu, do you remember something that followed? It was, and then after the World War One, what happened? Yes, the Great Depression. Now, we are seeing the worldwide pandemic. The Spanish flu was almost perfect, isn't it? And we are seeing a war happening. And after war, there was starvation. You know what people used to share one potato? A family. There was a Great Depression and people suffered. Question: who were able to survive it? Those. Yes, and Adventist institution which followed God's what? Yes, God's plan. So my brothers and sisters, we are going to show you that this is happening. Let's continue. Did you see this? Cooking oil. One of the most basic commodities is said to be one of the most affected consumer goods whose price is projected to triple in a week's time. Now, I want you to explain what happened. Mm. Yeah, imagine. Yes, 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 yes. Mm. Mm. Yes. Well, maybe.
Okay, when you look at a 2 liter of oil, it used to cost less than 500 shillings, but today it is very expensive. You find out that it has gone high 900. No longer 500. So you are going to find out that this basic commodity has increased, and most of the people are struggling to meet because the income is just the same. The income is the same, but things have become expensive. So when you're looking at the prices, this is where it comes where you need to do what? This is where country living is coming in. Because the budget the people have one and they're already used to things without one. So this part is not. But as in the city, who are used these things, when they increase in price, they are going to be affected now.
Yeah. Is is a place that we to see whether it can be just
Okay, as he's trying to fix, is there anyone who is having problems getting us? Apart from my brother Ken? Okay, can you?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Are we clear? Can you hear us? Somebody to type if you can be able to hear us. Is it clear? Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, it is clear. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, fine. Now we'll use this mic. But now I want us to see what has been happening. I want us to see what has been happening. There's something that has been happening. I want us to see in regard to what happened this week regarding the fuel, just
the cooking
the
oil.
cooking.
Okay, so when you're looking at that video, this is one of the this was one of the supermarkets that we have, one of these big supermarkets, and they had just announced that they've reduced the price of cooking oil. 5 liters was fetching for 1,000 shillings, and people were scrambling. Imagine that brother was running with like 5 containers of cooking oil. That is 4,000 shillings. And he was running with them, and someone who had not gotten, they were trying to grab from him. So you are seeing what is happening now. Cooking oil has been affected so very much. So we are seeing that this is just the tip of an iceberg. So when you're looking at what is happening now, this was telling us, they had warned us that cooking oil, one of the most basic commodities, is said to be one of the most affected consumed goods, whose price is projected to triple in a week's time. And this has happened.
And we can continue. We're going to show you who's behind all this. Let's continue. Get ready for what?
For hell.
UN?
Food chief warns amid Ukraine shockwaves.
Did we see Ellen White talk about Russia and Ukraine? Yes, we saw that. Did we read like 5 weeks ago, we talked about Daniel 11?
Yes.
We talked about the king of the north being
and
who?
The king of the south.
The king of the north is purpose itself. King of the south, it was France, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw explained around the push. And the king of the south, the ideologies were communist countries, isn't it?
Yes.
They had pushed, and these ideologies came, and after the First World War, we saw the king of the south did what? Was hit, and we see now this coming back. Now, this Ukraine question before we continue, what does Ukraine give. What can you read here?
Yes.
World Food.
World Food Program flags famine risk in Africa and the Middle East as Ukraine war hits supply.
Now, who's suffering here more?
The people who are suffering more are Africans
And
Middle East.
And look what they're being
fortified wheat flour.
I wish we can be able to explain about fortified poison. That is poison, fortified. And they lie. And these are the things. Not only this, what does Ukraine supply also?
Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine, all of them, they supply wheat, they supply corn, they supply rice. Most of the cereals, they come from there. And then even sunflower oil, it comes from there. So now what is happening, because the supply chain has been disconnected, not to talk about gas or fuel, these things are not coming the way they were coming because now there is war there. So now, because of the sanctions that have been put, most of the people, they are not getting what they are supposed to get. And at the end of the day, everyone is suffering, not only Africans, even the US, they are feeling this pinch because when you look at US, they rely most on wheat. You know, bread, there's burger, there's all those things. They use wheat flour to make them. So now that wheat flour has been cut, because even them, they import from there. So now the problem has come down, despite these countries putting on sanction on this, on Russia, the problem has affected even themselves.
Imagine. And I'm seeing now rubble for gas Putin throws the West over energy what? Addiction. So we're going to go there. Now, let's continue a little bit. Sorry for that. Now, what caused all this? Kenya increases what?
Gasoline price for first time in 6 months.
Now, Kenya raised pump prices of fuel to what?
To a 10-year high in the last monthly fuel price review, despite the government tapping a stabilization fund, according to the Energy and Petroleum.
By the way, every time something goes up, they link it to
fuel.
Yes. Now, they say that it is because of the fuel at first. That is why the wheat has gone
up.
Now, again, it is not only the fuel. Now it is even the commodity itself has made the price to go what?
To go high. By the way, when you're looking at fuel, when fuel increase, everything is going to be increased because one, fuel, it is used for transportation.
Yes.
You see where the wheat is and where the consumer is, they are in different locations. So when the fuel is increased, meaning even the cost of living is going to be high because everything depends upon fuel. So when fuel is increased, everyone will be affected in the supply chain, including the consumer at the end of the supply chain.
Now we read subsidy hit lifts fuel prices to an all-time high. We read the state has partially withdrawn a fuel subsidy introduced last year, sending diesel and oil prices to an all-time high in the first time since what? Since October. They say the Treasury will pay marketers an estimated 9.7 billion to curb a sharp rise in fuel prices in the wake of what?
Of the Russia-Ukraine war,
which has triggered a rally in commodities like crude oil and what? Subsidy schemes. We look here again, BBC. Russia has done what?
Russia has warned it could cut off gas supplied to other countries if an oil ban were to go ahead, which is what Ukraine has caused.
Now, I want to see this push by Russia. Let's go to Daniel 11. Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11. Let's go faster, Daniel 11, so that we can see what is happening. These are the last verses. We read Daniel chapter 11. We are being told, Daniel chapter 11, verse 40, we are being told, and at the end, and at the time of the end was in 1798. The king of the north shall do what? Shall push at him, and the king of the north shall push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like what? Whirlwind, with chariots, with horsemen, with many ships, and he shall enter into many countries, and he shall overflow and pass. Now, question. We see the king of the south pushing the communist ideologies. If those who read prophecy, go to a video that we did last time, we explained in detail. And next week, we're going to see the genesis of the war. We're going to go deeper in Daniel 11. The push was done. And what happened? These other countries coming with warships. Are we seeing warships in Ukraine? Are we seeing warships for the US in Poland? Are we seeing warships surrounding these communist countries? We are seeing. Are we seeing warship being threatened in China waters? Yes, we are seeing in China waters. Are we seeing these warship? Did you see what happened in India? They are trying their missiles to which country?
Pakistan.
Yes, are we seeing? These are warships. And my brothers and sisters, this is telling us that the king of the south is coming with what? With warships. Now, what will he do? What will he do? Look what will he do. He shall enter. Let's read verse 43. But he shall have power over what? The treasures of gold and silver, and over all precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his what? Footsteps, meaning that he shall control the economy.
Yes.
And this is what we are seeing. We saw also on the quotation, the moneyed what?
Men.
They are behind the wall. Let's continue. This is Zambia. Minister for Transport and Logistics, Frank Tayali, does not expect bus fares to go up the following increased pump prices of fuel. This is especially that the operators do not reduce bus fares when the fuel prices dropped about a month ago. Mr. Tayali said it will be unreasonable for operators to hike bus fares when the rise of fuel prices is minimal. On Monday, Energy Regulation Board raised the fuel pump prices to 2.12 for a liter petrol and 2.61 diesel due to continued depression of what? The kwacha. We're seeing the same thing is in all. We can show every country it is happening the same. Now let's continue. We are being told in councils on that. Now, before we go to councils on that, let's read. As famine and want and distress shall increase more and more in the world, the production of health food will be greatly what? Simplified. What to do? We are being told that as this continues, we are supposed to do what? To simplify how we do things, meaning that we need to learn how to extract things like what?
Like oil.
Like oil. This oil we're fighting, because if we are not fighting, Ellen White tells us in the South Ages 127 that for the want of food and
shelter,
men will yield to what?
To the mark of the beast.
Now, let me tell you, we need to learn these things. Those who are engaged in this work should learn constantly of the what? Great ritual loves his people and keeps their good forever in view. The food question has not yet reached perfection. There is still much to learn in this what?
In this line.
So what should we do?
We should learn much.
And start classes in our churches, start classes in our homes. This is even fuel. I saw in America now they're selling biodiesel, diesel from plants.
And yes, because now this one has made, and when you're looking at what is happening, the food crisis, you see, in fact, there's a slide that I was looking for, which I saw 3 or 4 years ago, which was saying that the next war is going to be about food, because they are saying that we are not going to use guns, but we are going to use food, because everyone eats, everyone takes food. Even if you take 1 meal, you take 2 meals, you take 3 meals, you take 5 meals, everyone eats. So when there's a problem with the supply chain, then the whole world is affected. Just look, it's only 2 countries that are involved in this conflict, but everywhere, everyone is getting affected. Everywhere they are affected. There's a video that I want him to put, which is showing the US what is happening right now concerning what is about the food prices.
We want to show you the videos that are happening. We want to show you as many evidences of what is happening in America right now. So,
this is Al Jazeera. So we have tried as much as possible to get the information from the credible sources.
Okay. Please, there's someone who's breaking glasses. Please, we're on Sabbath. So let's play the video.
Russia's war on Ukraine has created fears of a global food crisis. The two countries supply a third of the world's wheat and are major exporters of barley, corn, and sunflower oil. Fighting has disrupted exports, and that's led to record prices on international markets. The cost of wheat is at its highest level in 40 years. Corn is at a 9-year high. Ukraine's ports stopped working when Russia began its invasion last week. This means grain stocks from both countries aren't reaching their main markets in the Middle East and Africa.
Wheat prices surged nearly 40% this month, hitting their highest level in 14 years on Thursday, a result of the escalating conflict between major exporters Russia and Ukraine, who are responsible for 30% of global wheat supply. The prices of cereal and bread will likely rise, though the impact might not be felt right away, since consumer prices usually lag behind commodity prices, which are contracted in advance. However, the high prices and wheat shortages will likely be felt in many countries, as Russia and Ukraine are particularly important suppliers to the Middle East, North Africa, and Asia.
Oh, Christian, businesses are noticing a number of products costing more, especially wheat. Now, we spoke to the owner here at Bagel Cafe. This is near Buffalo and Summerlin Parkway. We spoke to the owner, and he tells us he's trying to navigate these costs while keeping prices down.
A 50-pound bag, we used to get it 16, 17, now it's up to $21.
Bagel Cafe is a restaurant, deli, and bakery. They go through a lot of flour to make all of these items. Owner Savas Andrews says while his product is from the U.S., he knows more countries are going to be wanting that same product now because less is being produced in Europe.
Every day, me and my managers were scrambling around just to check, pricing. It's like a fine line. How much do you charge before they stop coming in? Especially now with the fuel prices, people are going to be watching their budgets.
The American Bakers Association says wheat prices are up 11% since January and are expected to go up even more.
Oh. We want to learn. There's something in the Bible that also explains the same equation. Do you remember the time of Joseph?
Yes.
What was lacking in the time of Joseph?
Bread.
Bread. That is wheat. Let's read Genesis 49, 47. 49, Genesis. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis, we're going the same, the Bible, and actually the verse says there was no money where? In the land.
When money failed.
Yeah, when money failed. Let's go to Genesis 47. Genesis chapter 47. Are we there? Genesis, wheat crisis. Wheat has always been a crisis, and we're going to explain. Genesis chapter 47, and that is the commodity that the devil did what?
Tempered with.
He's tempered with. Ellen White talked in Temperance, book Temperance, that he poisoned it. Genesis chapter 47, we read from verse 13, we read, and there was no bread in where? In all the land. And for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by the reason of the famine. Did we see even Daniel 11 saying even the land of Egypt will be pushed? Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, what Joseph, what did he do? And that is what I'll jump there, but we're going to come back to see what Joseph did. And then what happened next? Verse 15. And when money fell in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, and all the Egyptians came unto Joseph, said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For where money did what? Failed. We've not come to that time of begging. We've not come to that time of begging. So this is another issue. We want to show you another video.
So before we go to another video, we are seeing that this man who is the owner of that bakery store, like a month ago, but the things started sowing like when we just entered January, there was already a misstep of fuel prices. And even here in Kenya, those who have bought wheat today, if you bought wheat on Friday last week, or on Thursday, or on Sunday, if you buy wheat today or yesterday, the price is different. Those who were buying in the supermarket, it was like 154 shillings, let me say 160 shillings, 2 kg. That is brown flour. When today it is 170, as I'm telling you today. Tomorrow you find that it will be another price. By next week, flour is going to reach even 200 shillings per 2 kg. because they are saying that because of the war and wheat is not coming in, so the little that they have, they are trying to squeeze as much as possible.
Yeah, we want to show you another video so that you can be able to see what is happening right in the countries that just this video says.
Inflation sticker shock, with the U.S. hitting a 40-year high. Consumer prices surging 7.5% over the last year. It's the largest increase since 1982, and Americans are feeling the pinch yet again.
Fruit, paper goods, English, everything. Everything is, I'm blown away.
Financial analysts estimate the average American family is now spending an extra $275 every month. At the store, eye-popping prices. A Shia brewer had to cut her grocery run short after prices squeezed her budget. Pandemic supply chain struggles haven't let up, and experts say that's what's fueling this record inflation.
According to the New York Times, food prices approach record highs. The prices have climbed to their highest level since 2011, according to a UN index. And according to a former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund, these prices are putting a strain on the poorest class, where they are spending up to 60% of their income on food. He said that it wasn't much of an exaggeration to say that the world was approaching a global food crisis, and current conditions have created a perfect storm of adverse circumstances. The global food prices have been trending upward ever since the US-China trade war resulted in Chinese tariffs on American agricultural goods. High fuel prices, shipping costs, along with other supply chain bottlenecks like a shortage of truck drivers and shipping containers, continue to push prices up today. As food prices begin to soar, let us get on the right side of this curve by growing our own food. Join us.
So we are seeing that the food prices is going up because of what? There are so many factors that have just come together to create a perfect storm, as they were saying. You see, when America started war with China and they had those squabbles and they are going on, there are few people who are benefiting from what is happening, but the majority, they are suffering. In fact, they were saying, when you read the report for the United Nations, it was saying that 265 million people, they are sleeping on an empty stomach every day throughout the world.
Yes.
Even before the war, they were saying 265 million people are sleeping on an empty stomach every day in the world. Somewhere in this world, when you are eating, you should thank God. When we have even one meal, we should thank God, because there are people who are somewhere in this world. They might be our neighbors. They might be somewhere in a different country, but they don't have anything to eat.
And remember, this thing they are saying the poor. When you go to Revelation chapter 13, it says, verse 16. Revelation 13, 16, 17. What does it say?
Revelation 13, 16, it says, and he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
Now, all this we have been talking about, the rich and the
Poor.
And who are being affected? The rich and the what?
And the poor.
We are going to see also the rich are going to be affected, but just hold on. I want to show you the last video, then we continue the slides.
So as is seeing the last video, when you look at the book of Revelation chapter 13, it talks about only two groups, the rich and the poor. The middle class are not there. So when you're looking at this perfect storm that has been created, it is mostly affecting the middle class, because the poor classes, most of them, they don't even have the privilege to go to these supermarkets and buy all these things that we are struggling with. Then they are used with the little that they have. They can eat skuma without oil. they can eat anything that God provides. They live one day at a time. But the middle class, this is the class that we go to the supermarket to buy these things. The rich, they are the ones who are supplying us, you see. So there are three classes in this world. There's the rich who are owning all these supermarkets and the big chain, and they are the owners of these companies and everything. Then there's the middle class, which they work for the rich. Because the rich people, they don't work. Where do you, by the way, who has ever seen a rich person's son working somewhere?
Nowhere.
No, they are the owners of those businesses where they employ the middle class. They employ accountants, they employ all those, the teachers and everything they employ. So them, they are the ones who are holding the money. Then the middle class, they are the ones who are given. The poor classes, they are there, just there. They're the ones now who are just down there. So the fight, when you're looking at whatever is happening, because when it comes to the food crisis, we are looking at where we are going. What is this perfect storm going to result into? You see, when the pandemic came, it pushed some people down. It pushed others up. Those who struggled and they became COVID billionaires, they went up. There are those who were pushed down, they became poor. Now there's this class that is bringing issues, because the middle class, they're the ones who even go to protest in the streets when the food. By the way, there was a hashtag lower food prices. Who saw it? In Kenya, there was a hashtag lower food prices. We saw it. There's a group, cooking class for Kenya. The admin of that group on Facebook, she just started hashtag lower what? The food prices. So when you're looking at that, when they started talking about to lower the food prices, everyone was sending their shopping list. You find that someone has bought like maybe 10 things that it has costed 5,000. The other one has bought 3 things that has costed like 3,500. So everyone was complaining. They were saying hashtag, in fact, it was even on BBC. They were saying that Kenya, they are talking about lower food prices even before the war began. So we are seeing that the battle is for the middle class to either struggle and become rich or to go down. And according to the Oxfam, they were looking at the poor people or the poor classes. They were saying that because of this pandemic, the rich people, they've become richer, and they are owning almost 90% of the world's economy, just few families.
Imagine.
And then the rest of the world, let me say 90% of the world, they are scrambling, or they are struggling to feed on what has remained from what the rich has gotten.
Mercy. So we can read so that let me put the video so that we can be able to see what the devil is really planning. Imagine now they're saying, because there's no food. Look at what they're saying, that as Christians who believe even present truth, what we should be feeding. Just listen to this doctor, what she's saying in a minute.
Insects are eaten in several parts of the world, mostly in Asia, Africa, and South America. In Asia, for example, China is known for eating silkworms. It is a rich food that can contain up to 60% crude protein.
There are approximately 1,700 species of edible insects in the world. The FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, believes that insects will be part of the solution to the rapidly emerging food crisis. Raising insects costs very little, they emit very little methane gas, and they are easy to transport to the market.
Insects have always been considered as a possible protein source of the future. Eating crickets is thought to be more sustainable than eating beef. We're talking about a farm that isn't very big, and they can be raised in large quantities very quickly. and transported. Well, they can be easily obtained. We don't need to go to another country to find crickets. We can find them close to us.
The European Union in December certified that some bugs are fit for consumption. They recently approved crickets, mealworms, and grasshoppers to be brought to market. The bugs are permitted to be sold, frozen, dried, and powdered. The largest insect farm in Europe says they will be allowed to commercialize in various foods such as cereal bars and dried pasta. They also put in an application for black soldier flies. Another Dutch firm, Fair Insects, intends to market the crickets as an ingredient in breakfast cereals, pastas, baked goods, soups, and meat products. This week, the firm announced it has raised £50 million in equity to boost international expansion and research and development. If there is an international expansion, could this be coming to the United States? And
these insects in breakfast cereals. You may not go and buy these insects and eat, but you eat them through the food that is found in the supermarket on the shelves. That's why God in his mercy, he saw these things happening and he warned his children to have a small piece of land where they can grow their own food. Because Ellen White was shown that in the future, the problem of buying and selling will be a serious one. Just like we are saying now. Because now, if you don't grow your own food, you don't know what you are eating. You can buy cornflakes, and then you are thinking they are cornflakes, and then they've added there something that, like these bags. You see that they've approved crickets. People will be eating crickets. Snails, people eat snails. People are eating grasshoppers. By the way, grasshoppers they eat, I know. They're eating worms. All these things are happening because you're saying now you don't have to go somewhere. We've seen in the market there, they're even selling. People are coming to buy and going to cook and eat. So this is where we are going.
We are reading in Adventist Home 141, paragraph 4, that again and again the Lord has instructed that our people are to do what? To take their families away from the cities into the country where they can raise their own provisions for the future. The problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one. You know, as we think about economy only, this includes the things that we are doing what? We are buying and the things we are selling. Tell them, this cooking oil they're fighting, what do they put inside? Is it pure oil?
No.
What do they put?
In fact, it's a mixture of fuel. There
Yes.
are some oils, if you have them at home, if you light your matchstick, you put on that cooking oil, it is going to light up.
And pure essential oil, like sunflower, if you light it, it will not
burn.
It will not burn. So the fuel, even you're seeing the oil actually, the price has gone up because it is used also to make what? The cooking oil.
Yes.
So we are eating poison. We're eating poison. God have mercy on us. So my brothers and sisters, we need to ask Jesus to help us so that as we saw in this storm, we are able to stand. I want us we go back to where we were on the slide so that we can be able to wind up. We are almost winding up. We want to go and see what we're being told. We're being told, Ellen White saw on, this is Councils on Health 461. 461. While appearing to the children of men as a great physician who can heal their maladies, he will bring what? Disease and disaster. We've just seen disease and disaster until popular cities are reduced to ruin and desolation. And even now, he's at work in accidents and what? Calamities by sea and by land, in great conflagrations, in fierce tornadoes and terrific hailstorms, in tempests, floods and cyclones, tidal waves and earthquakes, in every place and in 1,000 forms. Satan is exercising his power. How does he do it? He sweeps away the what? Ripening what? Harvest, and famine and distress follow. Now, on the other side of the flip coin, what is the technology they use to control the weather that we are seeing sunshine like January in March?
It's called the HAP.
HAP. We wish you had time, we could have shown you. This machine throw ions into the ionosphere, and they can be able to create drought. And also, there's something that you see a morning, smoking what? Chemtrails. An aeroplane just lighting, you can see a white smoke. It separates the cloud. So my brothers and sisters, we can be able to tell you Satan has studied the laboratories of nature. And he even imparts to the air deadly taint. Deadly taint includes what? That white smoke we are seeing, that the ions into the ionosphere. And let me tell you, it is because of Jerusalem has refused. Let's go next. We see. Now, we are being told that the married men, look what the Rothschild said. They say, why the Rothschild love what? Most people don't realize that war is highly profitable industry. To the Rothschild dynasty, they say, to the Rothschild dynasty, who make vast sums of cash off both what?
Sides.
Now, they are on the side of Russia and on the side of what?
Ukraine.
Now, let's go back history. In Iraq, which commodity these rich people started stealing?
Gas.
And fuel.
Yes, it's fuel.
Every war they benefit. We can go to World War II. They were stealing.
Yes, in fact, World War I and World War II produced more than 200 million billionaires.
Yes. We have facts and history.
There are people who got rich out of the war that was happening. The First World War, there are millionaires who were produced, and the Second World War, there are also millionaires who were produced.
They are stealing, isn't it?
Yes.
Even in countries which I cannot mention, they bring bandits.
Yes.
And those bandits, they steal cows, and in that you can be able to see that they gain riches by the way they open ranches. So I can tell you, these rich people, they benefit in war. Now, who's behind the rich people? Look, Pope in the middle of what?
Russia, Ukraine crisis.
Are you seeing the man of sin there? He's smiling.
To be the mediator.
Yes, they say Pope Francis meeting with the Russian embassy on Ukraine crisis was hands-on papal gesture with no recent precedent. The papacy is back in global politics. That is what? Assuming it is ever left, the gesture by the Pope Francis to visit Russian embassy in Rome on Friday was undoubtedly notable event for a variety of reasons. The Vatican has century-old foreign service of diplomats and what? Spies, think tanks, journalists. Nothing that the Pope does is ever coincident. There is also ponderous Vatican bureaucracies which makes decisions for the Pope. But interestingly, Francis' visit to the Russian embassy on Friday was not listed in his customary daily program sheet of engagements. That alone makes it extraordinary hands-on papal gesture that has no recent precedent. The US cable network CNN reported that the Pope spoke with Russian ambassador for more than an hour and a half. Pope has called for the peaceful end of conflict and is urging Catholics, to set Wednesday aside as a day of fasting and prayer to get to the peace in Ukraine. You had something to say on that also.
Yes, when you look at what is happening now, here is the Pope bring peace, and after that, where this is ending, it says this March 18, 2022. They are saying with fuel costs soaring since Russia invaded Ukraine, the International Energy Agency is urging, among other things, a Sunday driving reduction law. So they are saying that because of what is happening in Ukraine and Russia, because the fuel has costed. In fact, I was reading somewhere, in fact, even on BBC last week, they are saying that the world alone, the European Union imports oil costing $2 billion from Russia. And they were saying that they are fueling the war. So they want to reduce. And because of that, they are urging their member countries to put Sunday aside as a car-free day. Why Sunday? Why not Wednesday?
Yes.
Why not Saturday?
Or Saturday.
But they they've chosen Sunday because they know that Sunday is called a family day, quote unquote, family day, which is the man behind the family day is the papacy.
Lord help
so
us.
we are seeing that this Sunday, it is being introduced very
cunningly,
such
yes,
that people will accept, because they will say, it's true, because now on Sunday we can be just walking, we do
Imagine.
exercise, and you walk with the family since you're not going for work. And they've brought all these things just to put people not to realize that slowly but sure they want people to get used, not to be resting on Sunday and not to use their cars and everything. Because of what? Because of what is happening.
Yes, let me tell you, the papacy has its clause. We read Daniel 11. Now, I want to show you that the rich men have also to suffer, but in a short while as we are winding up. Now, we want to go to the last slide before we can be able to see that. My brothers, sisters, what I want us to see, that slide I didn't put it, what I want us to see, that these rich people have their hands on almost everything. You cannot remove them. And this creates a start for the next week's study. The genesis of the war. Who started it? You know, the devil is so cunning. When I made the notes, I don't know what happened. The computer just crashed. But thank God, God allowed some things to be got off. The devil does not want this study because he knows that if we open our eyes, if we know that what is soon to happen before this world comes to an end, we'll awake and do our work before it is too late. Let's go to James 5. James chapter 5. My brothers and sisters, let me tell you, the rich are also not spared. James chapter 5. James chapter 5. We have so many slides, but we're going to push that to next week. James chapter 5. But there's something before James chapter 5. Before James chapter 5. Open James chapter 5, put your finger there. Well, my wife wants to show you what should we do as this crisis. So what are the tips as Christians? We cannot just warn and we fail to show our people how we can prepare. The things we need to learn about food preservation methods. We're going to open our screen so that you can be able to see us. We don't want to open so much. We want to see how can you store our food, because let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, this thing is going to be in a crisis. We need to do what Joseph did. Let's go to Genesis. Put your finger on Genesis, James 5, Genesis 47. Genesis 47, put your finger on Genesis 5. We're going to go there. Genesis 47, there's something Joseph did and it enabled him to save in a crisis. My wife tries to assemble the things that we need to do as Christians. Don't get out. Genesis 47, Genesis 47. Are we there? Genesis chapter 47. We read verse 13, there was no bread in the land. And the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan faded by the reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was in the land of Egypt. This is the Eden economy. We need to gather our money together. You know the reason why we are suffering, we are fighting even for oil in Babylon. It is because we do not have our own. We've not gathered our money inside our house. Do you know the Jews, why they are rich? Do you know why the West is envious at the king of the South? It is because money bounces 7 times before it goes out. It circles itself 7 times. But what happens to African countries? The money just goes out, keeps out. Joseph gathered the money. We need to gather an economy. We read. Once we buy, we know each other. We know who does this. I've made it a habit. I'm a mechanic Adventist. Whoever you're buying is Adventist, so that we can support each other. This money needs to remain with us. Then Joseph did that. And then what happened? That was found in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, and the corn which they bought. Now what do we need to do? We need to buy corn. Corn is maize. Are we buying maize? Are you seeing maize was also there? Are we buying maize now? Let me tell you, the price of maize is going high and high. We're not going to afford. We need to gather the corn. We need to gather the nuts. We need to gather the seeds, because the seeds are disappearing. We are being told. We're being told which they bought. So they did what? They bought the corn. We need to buy the corn. Are we buying the corn right now? or we are just warning and warning. When we're being told, slowly we're digesting. And Joseph brought money into Pharaoh's house. He brought it into the house that where he was staying. Now, what happened? And when money failed in the land of Canaan, Egypt, the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came to Joseph, give us bread. Shows we're going to show you. We're going to show you by God's grace. A ransomware is being prepared. One of the countries to bring down the economy. I just pray God to give us a little more time. Two more Fridays, we're going to show you this. Now, look what happened. They started to borrow. Are we borrowing? Are we loans? Yes, we are. We borrow to survive. And let me tell you, people think that the economy fell right now. From 2008, the world has been in a crisis. Now, let's continue. Let's continue. Verse 16, and Joseph said, give your cattle, and I'll give for you your cattle in money fail. These are loans, security for our cars, security for our houses. We've given the quote Joseph of the world. They are holding our assets. Right now we are slaves, we can't move out. Now let's continue. They say to us, verse 17, and when they brought their cattle into Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, for flocks, and the cattle of the herds and the asses, and he fed them bread for all their cattle for that. They came unto him the second year and said, we will not hide from thee, my Lord, how that our money failed is spent, my Lord. Also had our herds cattle. There is not yet naught left in the sight, my Lord, but our bodies and our land. Let me ask you, we are going to sell our bodies in this sense. Where is the mark of the beast going to the priest? In our bodies. That's the last thing, if you read them. That's the last thing. That's the last thing. Are we going to sell our bodies so that we receive the mark of the beast in our foreheads and in our hands for the sake of food? Ellen White has said it in this Hour of Ages 127, paragraph 1, that for the want of food and shelter, many will yield to the mark of the beast. Oh, my brothers and sisters, when I see our fellow preachers castigating country living, I just pray for them because they don't know what they are saying. This crisis is going to hit us hard if we are not going to be ready. I'm not trying to say this to show that I'm ready. No, I'm just saying, God, I'm not ready. I need to gather corn. I need to gather spiritual children into my house. We need to gather our children also into our house, not away. Why should we take our children to Joseph, to Egypt, so that we can gain food? My brothers and sisters, it says, wherefore shall we die before their eyes, before we enter our land? Don't move, we're going to show you something. Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be our servants unto Pharaoh, and give us what? Seed, that we may live, and not die, that the land be not desolate. Are we being lied that land is desolate? That nothing can grow other than we get seeds from Babylon? Have we stored seeds, my brothers and sisters? The land has become desolate. Now, verse 20, and Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, and for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them. So the land became Pharaoh. Are our land belonging to the bank? Are our cars belonging to the banks and the circles? Yes. The cities, from one end of the borders of Egypt to the other end thereof. Now listen, who was saved? Who was saved? Verse 22, only the land of the priests. But he not, for before the priest had a portion assigned, them of Pharaoh did eat their portion, and Pharaoh gave them. Wherefore they sold not their land. Oh, my brothers and sisters, who are the priests? We are told in 1 Peter that we are the royal priesthood. You know, God has preserved us in the last days that we shall not suffer this kind. You know, God is going to hide us. We are not going to suffer if we follow His plan. But let me tell you, if We keep on castigating the preachers. All these preachers are. If me, I'm not going to cover my families. If me, I'm not going to cover myself in the world, it is going to be too late. It is going to be too late for me. Now, I want to open the video. Are you ready? I want to stop the video so that we can show you, give you a few tips. I know it's 9. I know it's 9 o'clock, but let me read you a few slides as we await this to happen. So my wife is ready. Let me just open this other video. I want you to see what is happening. Oh, sorry. I want you to see on the table. Now we can continue explaining.
Okay, so what I did in 2018,
yes,
we bought a canning, a pressure canner.
Yes.
So what we did with the pressure canner, we started canning tomatoes. I want to show you this tomato. I canned it in 2018.
Yes.
You can see the date here. It's 6/18. And look at it. As long as I've not opened it, it is as fresh as you are seeing it. It has no mold. It has nothing. This is just water and tomatoes. I canned them in 2018 and they're still okay. And this one I did in 2019. You can see this is the tomato that we did with Bridges, with the wife of Bridges. I've also done some fruits. I've also done some plums, but I know that time is not with us. So apart from that, you can also do the beans. You see, this is beans that are put here. So this beans, as long as it is here, look at the date. This is the thing that we are doing with Mrs. Bridges. When they came, the family came for country living. And when you're seeing here, the date is 2019. We did this beans, and as long as it is sealed like this, there are no weevils, there's nothing.
How long can it stay?
Beans can stay for 25 years, as long as you keep them away from weevils. If you don't have these plastics, because these plastics, I've looked for them, they are not seen, you can use this bag. You can buy this bag. This is where we are storing our beans and maize. You see the way it has the plastic here? This is going to help you because it has the plastic. When you harvest or when you buy something, you just put here in this sack and then you cover it. So this is where we put some of the beans. And then I've also done I've put some macadamia nuts here. So these ones, we put them, we don't use this. When I was unpacking them, we just put them somewhere. And then I'm just showing you some few things. And these are some soya chunks. So you can see these are soya chunks. They are quite a number. They are like 20 kg, but we've packaged them like this because as long as they're in a dry, cool place, they'll be okay. Then we have also done some dried vegetables. You see, when I went to Zambia, in Zambia, these are the things that usually you can buy.
Which vegetable is this?
This is
mchicha.
No, not mchicha. It's pumpkin leaves.
Pumpkin leaves.
So we dried the pumpkin leaves, and these are
as long as there's no moisture, they can stay for years.
They can stay for years. These are pumpkin leaves. Then we have the beans leaves also. You can dry the beans leaves. You can dry the okra. So these are the dried vegetables. So when you dry them like this, they can stay for a long time.
Also, there are things that these are all. Oh, you finished?
So when you look at this, these are some seeds.
Yes, this is what?
This is chia seed.
Chia seed.
Yes, these are put chia seed here.
Why do we put the seeds? Because they can stay for some time.
Yes, they can stay for some time. They cannot.
And then they are nutritive.
Yes.
What else do you have?
And then I have this. This is Zambian food. It's called kanda. So when I went,
this is meat.
I bought this, and I've just preserved it. So as long as it is here, it is okay.
It is not meat, the meat I mean, it is vegetable meat.
It's very nice. This is the one that is not grinded. This one is grinded.
It is called poly what?
It's called
African polon.
Yes. Because, and then I have this
Sunflower, white
I
sunflower.
have
There is
sunflower.
white and black.
Yes.
White is for eating raw.
For oil.
But white is not for oil. The black one is for
The
oil.
black one is for oil. This one is for the one for
Rich in zinc and calcium.
Yes. So these are some of the things that you can just start doing. You don't need to wait for a crisis to start preserving your own food. Yes.
And also, do you have something else?
Yes, I have also, I bought some Himalayan salt, which were just stones. So what I did, I got these stones and just put them, because these stones, they can stay for a long time.
This is just a few.
So this is just something that I just wanted to show you. So you can go there in town and just buy the stones, this pink salt, and then just preserve it. Don't use it, just put it and keep it. And then
we also have down there, what is it?
And then this is molasses. You see, this is something that you can survive on. This is molasses that we got. This is like a 20-liter molasses. And this molasses, those who've tasted the molasses for health use, this is the type of molasses that we have. So we've just put this we are not using. And other things.
Like honey also, it's there.
Yes, and honey. And then you can also dry some fruits.
Yes.
Yes, you can dry some.
If you have a dehydrator, you can be able to dry ginger, you can be able to dry lemon.
So like,
you can show them a few fruits we've dried.
Yes, I want to show them. I was dehydrating some papayas. So they are just done. These are papayas, I just dried them. So you can dehydrate bananas, you can just dry them so that you keep them. Because you know where we are going, you don't know when all these things you can just wake up one day, like for COVID, you find that everything is gone. And then you have small children, you have the family. It's better to prepare, gather whatever you can gather from the Egyptians while it's still time. If there are machines to buy them right now, while there's still time, because the time is coming whereby even buying these things, you will have the money, but you won't have means to get these things.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show you the few things that you can do even when you're in the city, trying to prepare for what is ahead of us.
Yes, we'd like to read our last slide so that we pray. We were reading James chapter 5. We read James 5, and then we read this quotation, then we finalize. We will prepare a class in the future, how to prepare from crisis.
I'll do a class for
yes. We can prepare even classes for how to get out of debt. So, and other things, we're going to prepare by God's grace so that we can be able to educate ourselves. James chapter 5, chapter 5 verse 1, we read, Go to now ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that will come upon you. Verse 2, your riches are corrupted and your garments are motten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. And ye shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You will have heaped treasures together for the what? For the last days. Now, what are we supposed to do, my brothers and sisters? Verse 7, this is what we need to do. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth. He hath long patience for it, until receive what? The early and the latter rain. Then we are being told, be also patient. Establish your hearts for the coming of the Lord. Draweth now. So, my brothers and sisters, when we see the rich man's miseries going to waste, what should we do, my brothers and sisters? We need to be patient. We need to establish our hearts for the coming of the Lord, because we are about to receive the early and the latter rain. We're being told on the quotation that we are living in the time of the end. The first fulfilling signs of the times declare that the coming of Christ is near at hand. The days in which we live as solemn and important. The Spirit of God is gradually but surely being withdrawn from the earth. Plagues and judgment are already falling upon then settles They focus the approaching events of the greatest multitude. So, my brothers and sisters, we are living in the most solemn time of this earth's history. And if we cannot be able to behold our Jesus, if we cannot to guide us, let me tell you, it will be too sad to learn all this, to know all this, and we get lost. My prayer is that as I see this, we need to lift up our hands, our heads high, because that is where our salvation comes from. We need to gather our children around our families. We need to pray as never before. We need to press together as a church. This is not a time of division. This is not a time of competition. Going to enter a time of trouble such as never was. Ellen White said when she was shown this sin, she told the angel to remove this sin. So we need to pray and ask God to help us. How many of us say that God help me? That as we see this crisis, we need to ask Jesus to help us. Let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, everything is pointing us to the crisis. But the sad reality is, Lord, we've been in churches for many years, and yet we are not here. All we know, Lord, is competition and strife. All we know, Lord, is show off. All we know is pride and self. And Lord, like the Pharisees, the all who are warned of the impending crisis, and they saw that they know it all, and they were lost when Jerusalem was surrounded. We're already surrounded, Lord, and there's a small gap of opportunity that we have. We can either hold your hand and we be saved, or hold our hands and we be lost. My prayer is, Lord, as the world is facing global hunger crisis, of both your word and both the food and other things, the wants of this world, we pray that Jesus prepare us for your soon return. Bless our brothers who not purchase land and they wish to get land. Bless our brothers who are in loans and tied by the evil. Bless everyone that is undergoing troubles in the family and all kinds of things at work or anywhere, Lord. And their desires to get out of slavery. Lord, I pray that, Lord, you may help us, all of us, that we may move out and we be prepared. We establish our hearts for the receiving of the early and the latter rain, that we may be part of the team that will finish your work. Help us and prepare us for your soon return. For I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. So may God bless you. May God keep you until next week. Maranatha.